Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, and welcome to Shedding the Bitch Radio, where you can discuss, debate, and get advice on how to discover and shed the bitches of fear, insecurity, self-doubt, and negative mindsets so you can realize your dreams and life purpose and create and accelerate the riches you want in life. Join us here live every Tuesday at noon Eastern and dialogue with us at 818-572-2910. You can also chat with us at Blog Talk Radio /SheddingTheBitch or share your stories on our website at sheddingthebitch.com. Whatever the bitch is that's holding you back from living your life to the fullest, it's not worth giving up the riches in life that you deserve. So call in now and let Bernadette Boas know what's holding you back. 818-572-2910.
Good day, good day, good day, everyone. Oh, I'm getting an echo. Sorry about that. Good day, everyone, and happy belated Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever you were celebrating. Hopefully you've had an opportunity to kind of take a deep breath today. Now that it's kind of that part of the flurry is behind us, and now you're probably going crazy with returns to the mall and maybe winding down the year, but getting ready for the New Year celebration. Whatever the case might be, I hope you had a blessed and joyful holiday. I know for myself, you all know I have 11 brothers and sisters, so I spent the morning yesterday with Charlie, my four-legged best friend Charlie, and I made a tape. Oh my gosh, I sound old, don't I? I just made a little short recording, video recording to send to each of my brothers and sisters individually. So each of them was tailored to them. And I wanted to make sure Charlie was in it as well. And so thank God he was very patient, and he's a very patient 11-and-a-half-year-old. But as I was doing it and as I was going through and speaking directly to my brother or my sister and tailoring it to them, I found myself, I don't regret anything, but I found myself getting sad and melancholy that I wasn't in Philadelphia with at least 10 of my brothers and sisters. My brother who's out in California didn't get a chance to come back into Philadelphia, but the rest of them, majority of them were together, and then a few of them were scattered about. But I hope you were with your family or friends. I was with a house full of friends, and we just had a blast of a time eating and drinking and playing games. And I mentioned to Deborah, who's out there, I mentioned to her that I was suffering with a little bit of a champagne hangover, well, Prosecco, but a little bit of a hangover. And she's like, oh, geez, I wonder how today's going to go. And we're going to talk about that because it's going to be part of our conversation is we're talking yesterday, today, and tomorrow, and how you can leverage that as part of your planning process, as part of your reflection on a closing of a year and into a new year. And at the same time, how do you kind of overcome when you are not feeling good or you're struggling mentally, financially, physically, emotionally, spiritually, how do you just kind of stay in the moment and therefore forget that you might have this little bang of a headache as I do right now. But anyway, so we're going to kind of count it down to next week, because by this time next week when we talk again, it will be a new year. So this is the last one of the 2017 calendar. And we just want to allow you to kind of take a deep breath and appreciate where you've been, where you are right at this very moment, and where you're going. So we'll get into all of that as well. Let's see, some rich news. I don't know about you. Actually, Deborah and I, before we got on the show, we're talking about kind of aging and being in my mid-50s now. I'm also kind of grateful for my health and where I am mentally, spiritually, emotionally. However, I am witnessing a number of, whether it's immediate family members or friends, that are in this time of year, not only dealing with things mentally or emotionally, maybe they're sad or depressed, this time of year with the holiday blues, so to speak. We talked about that on last week's program. But more importantly, they're dealing with some really severe physical ailments, whether it be breast cancer in one or a kind of a nerve physical ailment that provokes and kind of causes nerve issues throughout their body, or whether it's some other form of physical ailment. You have to appreciate just where you are and just keep them in the top of mind prayers and thanksgiving and gratitudes and whatever else you can send out to them, because there are a lot of people that are dealing with a lot of different things. And it just made me really appreciate, especially yesterday as I was doing those videos, as I was texting friends, just wishing them a Merry Christmas, and getting on phone calls and FaceTime, just appreciating what they're going through, despite what I might be dealing with, and appreciating that there's others that need our thoughts and prayers and giving this time of year and all year round. And the only other rich news, I'm grateful that we don't have any news that would be, about any tragedies or sufferings in the world. But so we have had some great guests throughout this year of 2017 to really appreciate and leverage their expertise, their tips, their advice. So go to sheddingthebitch.com/radio, and you'll find our year, actually the last 5 years of our radio programs. And you can go through the topics and the authors and or the guests and download them at any time, either on our sheddingthebitch.com radio channel or on blogtalkradio.com/sheddingthebitchradio. And then next week, being that it is that first Tuesday of the month, we'll kick off 2018 with your questions. So what are those burning questions that you have in any area of your life? And let's get them answered, especially as it pertains to kind of moving into a new year. And maybe you are planning and wanting to make changes this year. Maybe you're feeling stuck because you've been committing to yourself and at least telling yourself you want something different, and yet you haven't been able to kind of pull the trigger on that. Maybe you're dealing with, Deborah and I were talking about, job changes or job reconfigurations of what it is that you're doing currently, but maybe you want to do something differently in the new year. So we'll kick off Ask Bernadette or Ask Me Anything next Tuesday at noon Eastern Time. So please, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, you send them to me directly, Bernadette Boas at sheddingthebitch.com. Send me your questions, send me stories. Maybe you're having a challenge of any kind. Don't hesitate to send them every day, all through the month. We'll bring them right here and dig into them a little bit deeper, or you can even call us live during that program at noon Eastern Time, the first Tuesday of every month. You can always call 1-818-572-2910, and you can even do that today as we're having this conversation about yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And at the same time, between Deborah out there tweeting and Facebooking, I'm also on our chat room. And if you don't want to necessarily call in, but you want to just chat something in, feel free to do that as well, okay? Let's see. So today we are going to talk about some tips, some advice, sometimes tough love, as it pertains to how do you leverage without getting wrapped up, and we'll talk about this, but without getting wrapped up into yesterday, today, and tomorrow, that view of your world in your business, career, or life, and how can you leverage that for your own planning purposes, as well as you're taking action and then taking accountability and assessing what you're accomplishing or what you're struggling with. All right, so when we get back, we're going to talk about all of that. You can hashtag with us at hashtag goals, hashtag New Year resolution, or hashtag shed the bitch as always. I didn't really provide a rich question because I really want to kind of provide you things to be thinking about in those three areas of yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So we'll be right back.
You are listening to Shedding the Bitch Radio with Bernadette Boas. We are inspiring individuals around the globe to discover, confront, and shed their bitches of fear, insecurity, and negativity so they can create the riches in their career, business, and life they deserve. Be sure to check out Bernadette's book, Shedding the Corporate Bitch, Shifting from Bitch to Rich in Life and Business, available on Amazon and sheddingthebitch.com. We also want to thank our sponsors, TSR Consulting, who offers a broad range of tax services for small to corporate-sized clients. Go to tsrconsulting.com to learn more. And Parker House Virtual Services, who provides virtual assistance and social media support for small to medium-sized businesses. Email Deborah Parker at deborahparker78@gmail.com for more information. To become a sponsor or advertiser on our program, email us at mediarelations@sheddingthebitch.com. Shedding the Bitch Radio airs every Tuesday at noon Eastern Time. Be sure to go to blogtalkradio.com/Shedding the Bitch Radio and follow the program for all of the updates and announcements of our guests and show topics. Now let's return to Bernadette and Shedding the Bitch Radio.
Welcome back, everyone, and we are wrapping up 2017 with a different view on the year and on your planning for next year. We normally talk, and we do it a lot because a lot of you talk about goal setting and time management and accountability and those type of things. And there's a number of both videos on our YouTube channel, Shedding the Bitch, or on any radio program on sheddingthebitch.com that you can download and listen or watch when it comes to defining SMART goals and how to manage the chaos of time and those type of things. So today I thought, as a result of some conversations I've had with individuals from the Shedding the Bitch community recently, I thought we'd take a different slant at it and kind of break it down by yesterday, looking at yesterday, which you can consider 2017, looking at where you are right now today, and then where you want to be tomorrow or where you're going tomorrow. All right. So that's how we're going to break up the section of this conversation. We're going to look at each of those areas individually. I'm going to give you some thoughts, some reflections, some tips, and some advice as to what you and how you can be looking at those things as a means of really kind of owning where you've been and then leveraging that to plan where you want to go. All right. So if we look at yesterday, and this is a top question as well, especially with a lot of my business clients. I'll call them business clients because I do work with corporate and entrepreneurs. Right now it's heavy on the corporate side of it. And those professionals are going through, their year-end wrap-up, so to speak. And then, of course, they've been working on their 2018 plans, the New Year plans, and that'll probably go on January, February, even into March, looking at what the whole calendar year is going to look like. But they tend to also just look at what's happened, and they look at where they're going, and yet then there's this idea of where they are today. But let's look at yesterday first. Let's, kind of get your head around assessing where you have been. Now, there is that saying that says, living in the past just creates depression or sadness, regret. Living in the future or tomorrow creates anxiety for people or stress. And therefore, if you can learn to live today in the present, you'll find peace and joy. So we're going to kind of tackle those three. But looking at yesterday, looking at 2017 in its totality or the complete year, or you might have been doing it all year long, and therefore you just need to look back maybe in the last, 30, 60 days, or maybe just as the year as a total haul, so to speak. So the first thing I would suggest that you do when you do this, and any time that you're going to really do an assessment of any kind, even if it's, a performance assessment, self-assessment at work, you have to be really, really honest and truthful in regards to that assessment. You don't want to brush over it. You don't want to just simply say, oh, it was an okay year, or, oh, it had its ups and downs, but, no big consequence, no big yeehaw. You really want to just make sure that if there are accomplishments, you want to recognize them. If there are screw-ups, you want to recognize them. You just want to be very honest, very complete. You want to kind of look at the whole year or that whole period of time that you're assessing, so you don't kind of miss where things might have gone astray, or maybe where things went really well and you just never really took the time to, what we call here, honor your riches. So you want to look at it honestly, you want to look at it completely, but you also want to look at it objectively. Look at it this way. Yesterday is gone. It's over. And, I've only recently become really good at putting the past in the past, because that's where it is. It's not right now, therefore, you kind of want to look at it honestly, look at it completely, look at it objectively, and then kind of leave it behind. Because like that saying says, it just creates sadness, regret, depression, whatever the case might be. But you can also learn a great deal from it. You just want to stay very objective, not fall into, oh, I wish I had done this, or, oh, I really screwed up with that relationship, or I wish I, took that job or left that job, or whatever the case might be. So as we talk about yesterday, I want you to just be honest with yourself, be complete in your evaluation, your assessment, and then be as objective as possible, almost as if you have to kind of, remove yourself from the situation, from the experience, from the feelings, from whatever it might be, and kind of, pull yourself out of it and then just look down as if you're watching a movie, so you can stay objective and not kind of fall into that trap of regret or living in that junk, or even in that happiness and joy. You just want to kind of be able to be very objective about it. So I mentioned this last week. The one way I often look at yesterday is I try to put a theme to my years. And I had mentioned last week or the week before on the program that I was having a really tough time with putting a theme to this year. Now, I have started, and I mentioned it as well, that I was starting to do my own assessment and planning process. And I'm not anywhere near done. But as I did start looking at it, the one word I came up with, so if you want to make a note, come up with one word that defines or creates a theme for your 2017. And for me, I would have to say it is turmoil. And I wanted to use the other word, but I can rarely pronounce it. I can spell it. I just can't pronounce it very well. But tumultuous. It was just very tumultuous. And why that is going to, obviously, if you relate to that, great. If you go to Facebook and look at, a number of streams of people looking at and reflecting on 2017, a lot of it is turmoil, or it's stress or anxiety or just frustration. And you can look at it for many reasons, such as, the political environment, the Me Too situation, the social media and overall media turmoil is the only way I could describe it. So as I was writing and taking a look at my yesterday, that word came up a number of times, and I just realized that might be it. And yet I'll wait until I'm kind of finished my scribbling, as I call it, my assessment and my look back at 2017. But right now, that's where it's sitting. So how would you first describe your 2017 year? Put a theme to it. Now, like I said, you may not have a theme at the moment. And maybe as we go through this look at yesterday today and tomorrow, you might all of a sudden come up with that. Because a few of the ways that you can be looking at your yesterday is we always like to kind of start with honoring your riches. What were those accomplishments that you had this year? Now, we often talk about, too, that as you go through your year, I happen to be a journal writer, so I happen to track kind of what my day, what my week, what my month is looking like, and therefore I have a record of it, so to speak. But a lot of people don't. And when you don't, what I tell people a lot of times is go back to your calendar or your planner, whether it's for work, your home life, whether it's for finances, whatever the situation might be. That's a good reference point, is if you're not sure of what you did this year, because there's a great many times right now that I looked back on my yesterday and I was kind of like, where did January, February, March go? I mean, I don't even recall living them. And so I had a reference back to both my journals and my calendar. And I am the type of person that I often, like 99% of the time, have never reread what I've written down in a journal. I scribble, I close it, and I move on. I never reference them back. I did when I wrote my book a few years ago, and I found myself needing to this year, to the one journal I've had all year, simply because it just feels like yesterday it was January 1st, 2017, and here we are a year later. So I did have to reference it. So you can too. You can go back and reference your calendar, reference your planner, reference a journal that you might have been tracking. You can go through your Facebook feed for the past year. And Facebook also provides that summary of your year, mostly in photos. But that can give you a good idea, too, as you're wanting to look back and reflect honestly, completely, and objectively. You can use your Facebook feed at the same time, or your LinkedIn feed, or maybe you're a Twitter or an Instagram, Pinterest person. But those are really good records of your life for any period of time. So you can do that. You can also then, if you're having kind of a hard time managing all of that, then break them down into categories. Break it down into look at your work, then look at your friends or relationships, your family, look at your finances, look at your health and fitness, look at your, spirituality or your, religious life. You can bucket them. So then you're only focusing and trying to recall and assess one area of your life. And again, you're doing it very honestly and objectively, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Because again, if you aren't being honest with yourself, then you're just, kind of cheating yourself of some learnings, because your path is all about learning. It's all about growing. It's not about regret. It's not about, holding on to it, because it's gone. It is out of here. So why hold on to it as opposed to creating new experiences and memories and events and even challenges and even turmoil, but it's at least current and it's today as opposed to yesterday. So that's one of the things, is you want to honor your riches. You want to look at all the good things that have happened in this past 12 months, and just break it down and kind of pat yourself on the back, beat your chest, sing a hallelujah, whatever the case might be. That's one way of kind of looking at yesterday. And then, of course, you want to look at your challenges. You want to look at what didn't work, what didn't happen that you planned, where, what decisions, bad decisions maybe were made that you would, do differently, if you're given another opportunity to. Again, you can break them down into those categories to look at what the challenges were that you had in your job, or maybe your job search, or maybe your own business, or maybe with your spouse or partner or family member. Maybe it's a challenge that you had with just kind of getting out of your own way. And, that would be my second sub-theme, quite honestly, for myself this past year. Is I had a lot of great things going on. I've also had some very tumultuous, like I mentioned, times. And some of that turmoil was actually self-inflicted, not getting out of my own way of just having a really clear focus, and yet allowing other outside distractions to kind of take me off track. So you have to look at all of it. You look at external and then also internal. And the majority of this is internal, how you deal with those relationships, how you deal with your work, how you deal with money, how you deal with your health and fitness. Over the last couple of weeks, and this is one great accomplishment I finally, can kind of pat myself on the back about, is I finally took control of my health. I had some, cardiac tests that I had done, and I went and took care of looking at my knee, and I was avoiding it for the past year or so. And I finally just decided, no, I want to go into the new year with a clean slate, so to speak. And I want to know that I'm strong. I'm about to turn 56, actually in January. So it is a whole new year for me when it comes to not only the change of the calendar, but also a new birth year. So you just want to be able to honor your riches, confront your bitches, as we call them, all those challenges, all those things internally and externally that got in your way, and be able to then look at them, confront them, shed them, and put them behind you. And I would want you to also look at what would you have done differently, but I want you to ask that question in a very objective way. I don't want you to ask it in a way of regret or shame or disappointment or with any emotion in it. I just simply want you to say to yourself, what would you have done differently? Because that, again, is another piece of learning that you can take into your today and into your new year. So what would you have done differently without any kind of emotion or regret or anything attached to it? And if you look at things in this way, then you'll find yourself being able to kind of almost put it in a box, put yesterday in a box. Now that you've looked at it, you've evaluated it, you might have felt pain or disappointment or happiness and joy. And those are all good things to feel as you're going through that. And then once you're done, though, you're done. And 2017 is over with. It's gone. You're never getting it back. And you now move on to today and tomorrow. Does that make sense? Now, there's a lot of different questions you could be asking yourself as part of this evaluation, of this assessment, of this look back on yesterday. And if you come up with those questions for yourself, just make a note of them as you're going through and add them to your list of queries, so to speak. But this will be a good start for you. And of course, I should have mentioned this at the top of it. Of course, you don't want to be just doing this in your head. You don't want to be just doing it and thinking about it. You really want to grab that journal, grab that notebook, grab that piece of paper, whatever it is, grab that, audio or video recording, and just get it out of your head. I prefer it on a piece of paper, even more so than audio or a video, just because then on that piece of paper, you can really have a clear black and white, objective, honest, and complete assessment of your yesterday. And then you, like I said, you can kind of put it in a box, literally or figuratively, and move on to kind of then consider what's going on today. All right. And that's what we're going to talk about when we get back, is what now should you be focused on in regards to today. And then after that, we'll talk about tomorrow. We'll be right back.
You are listening to Shedding the Bitch Radio with Bernadette Boas. We are inspiring individuals around the globe to discover, confront, and shed their bitches of fear, insecurity, and negativity so they can create the riches in their career, business, and life they deserve. Be sure to check out Bernadette's book, Shedding the Corporate Bitch, Shifting from Bitch to Rich in Life and Business, available on Amazon and sheddingthebitch.com. We also want to thank our sponsors, TSR Consulting, who offers a broad range of tax services for small to corporate-sized clients. Go to tsrconsulting.com to learn more. And Parker House Virtual Services, who provides virtual assistance and social media support for small to medium-sized businesses. Email Deborah Parker at deborahparker78@gmail.com for more information. To become a sponsor or advertiser on our program, email us at mediarelations@sheddingthebitch.com. Shedding the Bitch Radio airs every Tuesday at noon Eastern Time. Be sure to go to blogtalkradio.com/Shedding the Bitch Radio and follow the program for all of the updates and announcements of our guests and show topics. Now let's return to Bernadette and Shedding the Bitch Radio.
Welcome back, everyone. We are talking yesterday, today, and tomorrow as part of wrapping up 2017 and planning and looking forward to the new year. And as we close off yesterday, or 2017 as the year, let me say now that I want to thank every one of you who have joined in on our Shedding the Bitch community, whether online, on the radio program, through the YouTube Shedding the Bitch channel, whatever the case might be, maybe out at my speaking engagements or through my coaching and my consulting work. I just want to thank you for an awesome 2017. And of course, I want to thank Deborah Parker of Parker House Virtual Services, who's out there right now. I want to thank her as well for just always being there and taking care of you and I throughout this past year, and all the great work that she does with her Parker House Virtual Services. And of course, you hear through the commercials how you can reach out to her, and please do, should you need anything for your own business, for your own job, whatever the case might be. All right. So we talked about yesterday, we put it in its box, and we put it away for safekeeping. And should you ever want to look back and reflect, that's great. But right now, and for your own today, you kind of want to just put that behind you and just leverage all of that great learning and those great feelings and memories, and even disappointments into your today and even into your tomorrow. But right now, we'll talk about today. And like I said, there's that saying about, living in the past is just sadness or depression, regret. Living for today or living in the future, it creates anxiety and stress, and living for today is joy and peace. And how is that? And a number of us over the last several weeks, and we talked about this, I believe it was last week's show, we've talked about what it means to live today, right now, at this very moment in time. And a lot of people, maybe I'll put it a different way, but I was going to say a lot of people struggle with it. What I will turn it on its head and say is very few people live right now in this very moment successfully, let alone consistently or continually. I've been practicing it for the past couple of years, I would say, and I find myself really good at it for a period of time, and then just like anybody else, I get distracted or I get into my own head. I can't get out of my own way, and the next thing you know, I'm letting rarely kind of go back and get wrapped up on yesterday, but definitely I'll get in my head about tomorrow. And so what we want to talk about is how you can maximize and really optimize anything and everything that you want in your life by just focusing on what's going on now. Now, that doesn't mean we're not going to talk about planning and setting goals and doing all that for your tomorrow. But right now, I just want you to think about and evaluate and ask yourself this question: is how good on a scale of 1 to 10 are you at simply being right here and right now? So if you're listening to this program, whether live or downloaded, you can even use this as a example. So right now, being that I'm talking to you, being that I have to kind of know, what I'm going to be, talking about and thinking about, and it's all got to be around and wrapped up around this radio program or this video, because I am shooting this. I really can't focus. I mentioned at the top of the hour that I was dealing with a champagne headache from Christmas yesterday, and it's there. It didn't go away yet. At the same time, if I'm just very much focused on right here, right now, what I am doing, then that goes away. That headache kind of, you kind of learn to forget about that, because all I'm focused on right now is having a conversation with you. and kind of really wanting to make sure that that is as effective and as productive as possible. So I really don't have an opportunity to kind of allow that headache to come into the picture. It's not that it's gone, but it just isn't top of mind, because what's top of mind is what I'm doing right here, right now with you. So let's use that with another type of example of how you can leverage learning how to live in the moment to then get rid of that possibility of yesterday's pain or regret or tomorrow's anxiety. So living just for today, say it's December 26th. Everyone now has credit card bills probably piling up from all the spending you did through Hanukkah and Christmas and the holiday season. And for some, that could be very stressful. That could be very daunting, especially if you're not able to pay those bills as effectively as you'd like to. Now, you could spend this very moment in time stressing over those bills. But even you're listening to this program, so you could be shutting out everything around you, because all you really want to be doing right now is paying attention to this program. Now, where we get into trouble is when you're listening to this program, you have a stack of bills in front of you, you have the TV on, there's noise, there's distractions, the kids are running around, and you didn't create yourself an environment where you can be very present. Think about it when it comes to even yesterday when you were socializing. So many people, let's say you're sitting there at the dining room table, you want to be there with that, with that group of people in that surrounding, with that experience. And yet, you're on your phone, other people are on their phone, there's kids screaming, there's the doorbell, the phone's ringing, the food's being passed. And yet at the same time, what you have to think about is, what are you doing to contribute either to that distraction or to you being very, very present at that very moment in time, so you can actually, embed yourself into that moment and enjoy those conversations, enjoy that laughter, and without thinking about what's going on around you or externally, you're just able to really focus, and those bills kind of disappear, and those headaches disappear, or maybe just those other, oh my God, what's on my to-do list for tomorrow. You can't worry about that when you're sitting there at a table full of people, wanting to really be very present and very in the moment. And so if you can learn to be in the moment, then you'll realize that everything else kind of slips away, kind of dissipates and disappears. Because if you're sitting here wanting to just listen to my voice or watch my face, if you're watching it on YouTube, then everything else you can just let go. And think about what kind of feeling you're creating as a result of that. If you're letting those other thoughts, those other feelings, those other stresses, those other obligations and commitments go away and drop off, because all you're wanting to do is, maybe you're playing with your child, or maybe you are at work and you're in a meeting and you really want to be focused and active and contributing and present with that group of people. Maybe you are sitting down and doing your bills, and you don't want to create any more stress or anxiety. You just want to take care of that particular task or activity, no matter how hard or easy it is, because being present, doing that, taking control and doing that, then allows all the stress around it and the anxiety around it to disappear, even through those hard times. Does that make sense? Think about it. Put yourself in a situation where you're just very aware of where you're at, of what your body's doing, what your breathing's doing, what your head is doing, what your mouth is doing, what your ears are doing, and just experience that and think about kind of what the outside world looks like or feels like to you as a result of being very now. And I can guarantee you that those regrets of yesterdays and those anxieties of tomorrow aren't there. They don't exist in this very moment in time. So that, that there's an opportunity for you to leverage right here, right now. Now, to get more, let's say, practical about it, because like I said, a lot of people, it takes time and practice to kind of stay in the now. Putting away that phone or that computer screen or that notebook or that project file or that whatever it could be that takes you out of the moment of whatever it is you're wanting to do in that moment. Removing those things, it takes a lot of conscious thinking that can be hard and very exhausting too. But if you practice it and you really engage with it, you'd be amazed and surprised at how energized and how relaxed and how easy kind of your world, your existence becomes. But until you do that and until you've practiced it to the point of leveraging it to your benefit, then there are some other things that you could be doing more practical for today to really kind of ground yourself in the present so you can find, remember I said, living today kind of brings peace and joy and calm and happiness. So if you're in search of that, which many people are, then there are things that you could be doing right now in today in order for you to really get grounded in that. So, for instance, you could be kind of asking yourself, just like we did for yesterday, you could be asking yourself some questions that are only relevant for today. And that is, you could be, I often tell clients, and even I'm about to do this, I started it and then I had to put it aside over the weekend sometime, but I'll write myself a letter to myself about where I am right now, who I am, what I want to be, without planning. There's not planning in that. It's just that where I am, where I want to be, what I don't want to be. I just kind of write a letter, Dear Bernadette. You can use it to look at yesterday. You can always do that from the standpoint of even kind of looking at your yesterday, and we'll talk about then tomorrow. But for right now, it's more about who I am, what I want, what I don't want, what I'm feeling, and I'll turn it to you, what you're experiencing, what you're struggling with, what you're doing really well with, but right now, at this moment in time. And so you write yourself this story or this letter to yourself that allows you to, again, kind of separate, become objective about that letter, about that disclosure, about that confession, however you might want to look at it. And you're able to separate yourself by just simply having this conversation in a form of a letter to yourself that you can also kind of put in an envelope and keep and reference back to it. Or you can kind of write it, just like they tell you to, that if you have a lost love or a bad pain over something, you write a letter, you kind of can mail it or not mail it or burn it after you've written it. It's just a great way. Writing is just such a great way to kind of purge and yet at the same time assess and just ground yourself in the moment. So you can also think about that. Consider what you want to do, what you want in your life, what you want for yourself. And again, it's not planning. It's more just having this kind of honest, complete, objective dialogue with yourself as where are you right at this moment in time. Not worrying about yesterday or tomorrow, just right now. Those are great ways to kind of consider how you can live in the moment, be in the moment, live today so you can find that peace and that joy. Let me see. Let me see. I thought I had one other thing that I wanted to talk about in regards to that, but I don't see that I didn't cover it. So we looked at yesterday, we looked at today, and again, your number one question to me is about planning and goal setting and all that kind of good stuff. So we're going to talk about, when we get back from break, we're going to talk about tomorrow and what you could be doing, not only literally tomorrow, but also what you could be doing in relationship to 2018 and the new year that's about to ring in for us over the next, I think it's about 6 days from now. So we will be right back to talk about tomorrow.
You are listening to Shedding the Bitch Radio with Bernadette Boas. We are inspiring individuals around the globe to discover, confront, and shed their bitches of fear, insecurity, and negativity so they can create the riches in their career, business, and life they deserve. Be sure to check out Bernadette's book, Shedding the Corporate Bitch, Shifting from Bitch to Rich in Life and Business, available on Amazon and sheddingthebitch.com. We also want to thank our sponsors, TSR Consulting, who offers a broad range of tax services for small to corporate-sized clients. Go to tsrconsulting.com to learn more. And Parker House Virtual Services, who provides virtual assistance and social media support for small to medium-sized businesses. Email Deborah Parker at deborahparker78@gmail.com for more information. To become a sponsor or advertiser on our program, email us at mediarelations@sheddingthebitch.com. Shedding the Bitch Radio airs every Tuesday at noon Eastern Time. Be sure to go to blogtalkradio.com/Shedding the Bitch Radio and follow the program for all of the updates and announcements of our guests and show topics. Now let's return to Bernadette and Shedding the Bitch Radio.
Welcome back, everyone. We are talking yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And you can go back and listen to the earlier part of the program for the yesterday and today. And we're going to move into your tomorrow. And you all are getting ready for it anyway. It seems as if we tend to focus majority of our time on tomorrow. Now, a lot of us focus on yesterday. Very few, it's found, researched, analyzed, focus on today. We're a citizenship, a world of living either in the past or in the future. And what I want you to consider is to leverage yesterday, today, and tomorrow, but to the point where then you bring it back to being able to live right now in this moment in time, in order for you to really maximize and leverage everything that you've been through and everything that you're going to experience in the future. So as we talk about tomorrow, again, this is a conversation in a way to prevent the anxiety that many people feel about tomorrow. They worry about those bills that have to be paid. They worry about where they're going to be, when they're going to get promoted, when they're going to get married or have kids. They worry about whether or not they're meeting, the expectations of their family and friends and parents. And, we're all very much grasping at things that aren't even here yet. And so we want to do whatever we can to minimize that anxiety, minimize that stress, so we don't kind of spend a majority of our time just living in a lot of anxiety of what isn't even here yet. So the way to really do that, and I know, and I am just as guilty as the next person, I know that when I do it, that it takes care of a great deal of that tomorrow anxiety. And it's all about planning, and it's all about taking action. Planning and taking action on that plan is one of the most effective success-building tools that any of us can be using, because it allows us to be in control of where it is we're going and what it is that's happening to us. Even when things come out of the blue and shock us and surprise us and create turmoil for us, even when that happens, at that moment, creating that new plan to address it and acting on it, again, just puts the control right back into our own body and in our own mind, in our own heart. So then it minimizes and kind of keeps that anxiety and that stress at bay. So that's how we're going to kind of address the tomorrow aspect. And again, I had mentioned it's the number one conversation that I often get from many of you is all around getting control of your time, getting control of your goals, getting control of what it is you're working so hard to do. And the way to do that is to just go through a process of somewhat planning and taking action in order for you to really optimize that desire that you all have and achieve those goals, those riches that you have for yourself. So what I want to talk about is a few steps, a few things, a few tools you could be using in order to kind of plan out or think about your tomorrow. And as we get into a new year, this is like the perfect week. I'm saying this week, over the next several days, before you get into the new year, it's a great week to kind of find some quiet time and not only be doing that yesterday and that look at today, but also planning for your tomorrow. So first, what I would suggest you do and have an opportunity to do is take that letter you wrote in today. I just suggest that you write yourself a letter about where you are right now, who you are, who you're not, what's going on in your life, what feels good, what doesn't feel so good, all around your today. Take that letter and either you can expand on it or you can write yourself a brand new letter. And that letter would look like who are you? Write a letter yourself about what's just happened in this new year. So on December 31st, it's a look at where you want to be on December 31st of 2018 before you welcome in 2019, and paint that picture. Write yourself a story. Write yourself a letter. Write yourself the steps you're going to take. Write yourself an illustration, a visual of what you want your world to look like 12 months from now. And write it in a way that's not quite your plan yet. It's not quite your goals yet. It's simply a, dear Bernadette, this was a fabulous year. Yes, you had your ups and your downs, but overall you've sold your screenplay. You've, met the man of your dreams. You have, put all that money, that savings aside that you wanted. Yes, I know you may have missed some deadlines, whatever the case might be. Just write yourself a letter and picture yourself as you're writing it on December 31st, 2018, reflecting back on the year, and do that today for your tomorrow. And you'll reread it, and that will allow you and paint for you and illustrate for you and define for you what those goals or what those dreams are that you are now can turn into goals that you want to have for the year. Because if you're saying you're going to be this person, have done these things, blah, 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 obviously there was some goals and tasks and actions you took on them through the year. Therefore, once you have that letter, you now can sit down and use that letter to then define those. I always talk about like 1 to 3 goals that you could be defining using the SMART method. Now, I'm not going to walk you through the SMART method. We do that a lot. You can go back to any number of our YouTube or radio programs and watch or listen to them. And they're all called SMART goals. The episodes of either the YouTube channel videos or our radio episodes, and download those and you'll learn the SMART method. But once you have that letter, you can use that letter to now define your goals. Now, maybe as you're doing that, you realize that there's a goal or two that you didn't even write about, you didn't even define. And what I would suggest you do there is define for yourself right then and there, is it really a goal? Is it really something that you want to accomplish, that you want to work on, that you want to focus on, you want to be accountable to in that year? Because you might have just overlooked it, but you might also be creating a false goal that you really don't want to have for yourself. So, for instance, let me give you a for instance of that. So you all know that I wrote a screenplay, finished that, have been pitching it out in LA and here in Atlanta. And I've been discussing the fact that I was setting a goal that at some point I'm going to decide whether or not I want to sell it or have it optioned for someone else to do it, or whether or not I want to produce it myself. So one of my goals this year will be to, and it's going to be over the next 30 days, it'll be a short-term goal, but is to really be honest with myself and really think about and walk through some steps to figure out, do I really truly want to produce it myself? I know I say it and I've said it, for the past year and a half, but do I really believe that's what I want? Because if whatever decision I make on that and whatever decisions you make on your goals are then going to define the steps and the tasks and the areas of focus you're going to have for a particular time period. So if I decide that, no, I don't want to produce it, well, that's going to say to me, okay, then everything that I do has to be around getting it out there so I can sell it or option it. If it is that, no, I'm going to, put a date down and I'm going to decide to produce it myself, well, there's a whole nother set of different learnings, different relationships I have to start making, different things I need to start doing. So I myself have a goal that by January 15th, I want to have assessed if that is a real goal that I have, or has it been just something I've been saying? Because just because it's a out, so to speak, that if I don't sell my script or my screenplay, then I'll produce it. And, you want something done with it, but I need to really, really be honest with myself and figure that out. So going back to you, as you write this letter, as you define your goals, look at them, own them. And that's what this comes down to, is you want to own them, because everything that you then kind of plan to take action on is going to set the course of where you're going to focus and what you're going to be doing for the next 12 months. So do that, write your letter, define your goals, come up with some rewards and even consequences. And rarely do people talk about consequences. People set rewards for themselves. Oh, if I drop 10 pounds, I buy a new dress. Or, oh, if I finish that book, I'm going to buy myself a vacation, whatever the case might be. Rarely do we ever say, if I don't write that book and meet that deadline, what's going to happen? Or what am I going to kind of create a consequence for myself? And those could be very helpful as well. What's the consequence if I don't drop 10 pounds before, for instance, my nephew's wedding on May 19th? So I define a consequence to that. So rewards and consequences should both be considered when it comes to your goals and the outcome to those goals. And of course, you could create yourself a vision board. And this is another thing, I might have mentioned this a few weeks ago. I want to do not only for myself, but with my clients over the next 30, 60 days, is get them to do their vision boards. I'm a visual person. And so vision boards are very applicable for visual people, to kind of create a vision board that you can kind of put up. And it could even be a piece of paper. I actually create it for my screensaver on my computer. So you can create yourself a vision board so you can visualize it. Find yourself a coach or a mentor. Find somebody to hold you accountable is another way of also making sure that your tomorrow is tracked, assessed, and readjusted in order for you to be able to achieve that tomorrow that you're looking for. Whatever you do as you go into the new year, leave the past behind you, leave yesterday behind you, really learn how to live in the moment today, while at the same time you always want that brass ring to grab for. So you want to do that planning, you want to do that dreaming. You want to have that brass ring to reach out to. Whatever you do, have a glorious and wonderful celebration of your today and your tomorrow and even your yesterday, and then have a blast of a January 1st. And we'll be back here on January 2nd, I think it is, for our first episode of the new year. of Shedding the Bitch Radio. Thanks, everyone, and thank you again for a wonderful 2017. Love you.
Thank you for listening to Shedding the Bitch Radio with Bernadette Boas. Join Bernadette every Tuesday at noon Eastern as she helps you shift your bitches to riches. And the dialogue is always going on at sheddingthebitch.com. See you next week.